Teams have done other things to him. I'm not sure the best way. He's still, with quarterback hits, hurries, pressures, fumbles, forced fumbles, and sacks, he is still one of the tops in the game, even though by his standards, this has not been his best season.
Yeah, it's not shaping up as a defensive player of the year kind of year for Aaron Donald. But he has been tremendous. There used to be a theory on players like that the way to do it is to run right at them, that they're more dangerous pursuing the play than they might be if you run right at them. But that was more in an era when teams were committed to the run, and it was a more balanced offensive approach. I don't know what the Steelers will do. I think they'll keep people in the backfield more than they might normally. But otherwise, I don't have the kind of football mind that can answer that question.
No, but that's a big thing with Mason Rudolph and a lot of young guys in there. They're going to need as much protection on him as they can get. And if it's not him, it's Fowler. If it's not him, it's Jalen Ramsey, who they picked up. They have a lot of big names on their team, both offensively and defensively. We have some tweets in. Joe Hunter on Twitter, at KDPomp, at Gene Collier. He says, why is the Pitt football game against North Carolina scheduled the same day as the Steelers and the Browns in Cleveland, next Thursday? The scheduling, I don't know when it all comes out. If there's a conflict, I don't think they're all aware of it. They just schedule it. It was a Thursday night game on both. Just so happens it's the same day. And that's not good for Pitt if you're looking to watch Pitt.
No, that is not.
That game will be at Heinz Field.
That is not what Pitt wants at the exact same, just about the exact same kickoff time. Generally, the college schedules are made up earlier than the NFL schedules, but the times are not. But I don't know. Now you have the conference involved. The conference has its own TV. I don't know what they think they're going to accomplish by putting Pitt on next to the Steelers. But
no, not a good move, but it's there, and it's going to have to go through.
Yep.
Also want to announce tonight that the BCS playoff ratings came out for the first time they wait. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 1 is Ohio State. Number 2 is LSU. Number 3 is Alabama. Number 4 is Penn State. Clemson goes to 5. You surprised by any of that?
Yeah, I'm surprised that Ohio State is number 1. I'm surprised that Penn State is number 4. But the other half I'm good with.
Yeah, I think LSU and Alabama play this week. You'll see that game on KDKA-TV at 3:30. I thought it would be a night game, given how big it is. Those two teams will knock each other around. But, based on strength of schedule, Clemson, if you compare them to Penn State, some people say Clemson should be ahead of Penn State. Not necessarily true. Compare their records, strength of schedule, all the things, and you'll know that Penn State has a better resume at this point. But Clemson also competes in this weak Power 5 ACC.
It does. It's not the ACC is not well positioned to make that case for Clemson. Penn State also in a game that matches 2 8-0 teams against Minnesota on the road.
Right. That's going to be a tough game, and they got some good receivers out there in Minnesota, so they can't be looking ahead. They can get knocked off with Ohio State lurking.
This is the first time in the AP poll era, Bob. I think I have this right, which means I probably don't. That you have 4 8-0 teams on this weekend playing each other.
Yeah, unusual, but it is true. All right, we have one more tweet, and then we'll go to the Lions. Henry says, how about those CFP rankings? 2 teams from the Big Ten, and the other 2 are playing on Saturday. Those are cleverly crafted ratings. Well, at this point, those are the best teams. I wouldn't argue with any of them, I think, based on what I've seen. I'm not going to put Clemson up there right now. Georgia has flaws. Who else are you going to stick up there? At this point, that's the way it should be. Let's go to Mark in Brentwood kicking us off here tonight. What's up, Mark? How are you? Welcome to the Sports Call.
Hi. That missed field goal from the Colts, will that fan get to keep the ball? And if for that matter, if a basketball would end up in the stands, would the fans get to keep that ball? I'm curious.
I think you get to keep that ball if it goes in the stands, right? That was shanked well enough to the left there, right?
As far as I know.
Yeah, I think it's a souvenir. You don't,
I would not be giving it back.
No, it came to you. You made the catch. Take it. Let's go to Jim in South Hills. What's up, Jim? How are you?
Yeah, good, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I wanted your thoughts on how the Steelers managed Rudolph on Sunday. As the game evolved, I'll give you my thoughts and listen. I kind of think they gave him an opportunity to manage the game without having to make a lot of tough throws. I mean, I love it when they throw deep early, which he did on the 3rd play. Just missed it, and he didn't go deep very often after that. And I thought they tried to protect him, and they're not going to go very far doing that. They're going to have to start going deep and going over the middle. And it was almost like the plays out of the backfield were called plays for the most part, very little scrambling, and the guy has a good arm, and it looks like it's somewhat accurate. Your thoughts, guys?
Gene, go ahead. Thank you.
Well, I think it's natural for the Steelers to try and want to protect him. They certainly didn't protect him from the 1 yard line. I don't know what he's doing back there, you know, being victimized by a strip sack. He should have gotten rid of that ball.
Yeah.
But he's not experienced enough. I mean, there's no way I have, you know, an inexperienced quarterback like that drop into his own end zone. But I think otherwise, you want to be careful with him because he's still learning to play. He's not always recognizing what's going on, particularly on deep balls. I mean, those are the hardest ones to complete, obviously, and to recognize sometimes. So I'm not surprised by what they're doing. Eventually, do they have to throw the ball deep? I don't know. I mean, no one ever comes out trying to establish the bomb.
It starts with the run game, too. They have had nothing in the run game.
No commitment to it.
No commitment, no production, and they need James Conner back. He may play. We'll find out. If he does, it gives him certainly a big boost there.
Right.
Snell's not going to play. If James can't play, you're back to just Samuels and Edmonds, and that doesn't bode well against this Rams defense. So to me, it starts there. But as far as the play calling, you know, first of all, there are options on every play, Gene. I mean, there are. I mean, you have to go through your reads. You have to know what's available. And if you see a matchup that is in your favor as a quarterback, you got to make that choice. I don't know that they're not telling him to dump the ball off all the time. He's doing that. I'll say this, he's a young quarterback who still is finding his way, and I think if that's what he thinks is a smart play, he doesn't want to lose the game either.
Yeah, no, I think he's played well given the constraints of his inexperience. I think he's done a really good job, but that's just a fact of life. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger has been playing for 15 years in this offense, knows it inside and out, backward and forward, knows where everybody's going to be or supposed to be on every play, every coverage, what the implications of every coverage are. Mason Rudolph doesn't know 1/10 of that.
No, it's a trial by error at this point. He's just going through and learning. Tony in Pittsburgh joins us right now on Pittsburgh CW. Hey, Tony. Tony. Tony, are you there? I heard something back there, but you're too late. Let's go to Gene in Gallitzin. Hey, Gene.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Is Marte a free agent this year or not? You know.
No, they picked up his option yesterday.
Okay.
Come back for 1 year. Well, and they may trade him though. That doesn't mean he's not going to be here. We don't know that yet, but they picked up the option on him and Archer, $11 million and $9 million respectively.
Okay.
All right. That's no surprise, right? You got to do that.
No, I guess not.
Would you trade Marte if you got a good offer?
Yes,
Yeah.
I would.
You would rebuild.
He's not my favorite player.
Still, overall numbers are pretty good, and he does play
Yeah, I
good
know.
center field.
Break your heart. That's what he'll do.
We're going to take a break. Speaking of break, not a hard commercial break. That's coming up. We'll have more of your calls right here at 412-575-2600. Get on the conversation board. Let us know what you think right here live on Pittsburgh CW.